Hey there, it is Tomster here on behalf of Indie Structural Productions. Once again, but once again being after a very long time. So let's get the first things first out of the way. Sorry for the lack of updates in the last few months. It has been, let's say, a little nuts. I'll get into it a little bit more as we go through in this video. But essentially, as the title tells, this is the annual wrapping up of the year, and 2023 was, without a doubt, dog went to sleep behind the camera there. So without a doubt, 2023 was a very interesting, strange year. And I did make an Instagram post about this already, just kind of where I posted the top 9 posts from the year and kind of like looking back on things. And as mentioned in the post, I started writing the text for it, kind of a little apprehensive about looking back at the year and thinking about all this and that. But as I wrote it, I realized that there is a lot of very good things that have happened this year, and I need to learn not to so much look at the shortcomings of what I have done and instead of look at the victories that I have achieved over the years. So let's just get straight into it. Pretty much the year started off with a hell of a bang. I got to make the now infamous mushroom guitar for Samuhaber for the UMK 2023, which is the competition in which you find the Eurovision contestant for that year's Eurovision, which this time around it was Gaia. I am very proud of the work that we did with my fiance on that guitar. We put a lot of effort into painting everything up and making it look really cool. We had a very clear vision as to what we were doing, and we just kind of had fun with it, improvised a whole lot, and came up with different color schemes, looking at like just rough sketches and whatnot, and just going at it, and just like not really thinking too much into it. Little did we expect that would spark a huge controversy and completely be misunderstood. To kind of give you the gist of it, essentially, like here in Finland, the media kind of concentrated on the very topmost layer of the song that was being played. The title of the track is Let's Eat Mushrooms. And the entire song is about, enjoying life and just, loving one another and just in general, not taking things too seriously. But that was very much misconstrued. And along with the mushroom guitar itself with, an acoustic guitar with a bunch of mushrooms painted on it. And it was taken very much out of context and very much misunderstood into making it into a drug positive sort of, let's go and, eat those kind of magic mushrooms. Let's go and eat magic mushrooms and get high as hell and, promoting drug use on national television to, it's a family show. And apparently, and according to some media people, there were some kind of mushrooms that we painted that looked like these types of magic mushrooms, which very much was not the case. Afterwards, because we came up with the color schemes just and it's like what works in the grand scheme of things. So we have yellows and oranges and greens and stuff. So we want to, play with the color scheme so that it still works and functions without something being too much, we're not going to put something that's like bright purple all of a sudden for no reason if it doesn't blend with the rest of the colors. We were just making things up. And then afterwards we Googled and looked at what the, magic mushrooms were supposed to be. And we didn't understand what they were talking about. But, overall, 90%, that was very well received. And that was a huge, very cool thing to be a part of. But because of the sort of backlash and very public backlash that it got, it did affect me. I know that thinking about it from a rational mindset, we didn't do anything wrong. It was very much misconstrued, and it pretty much had a very mostly positive reaction to it. But nonetheless, just getting that sort of very public backlash did affect my mentality to, the work that I do and posting on social media, which is kind of where the sort of radio silence on social media started from. I started posting less and creating less content because I had put so much effort into this one thing that then turned to, in the back of my head, blow up in my face, which it did and it did not. I took it a bit too hard. I was too hard on myself, and it should just be, and it is now, something to kind of laugh about and to learn from. So, yeah, but, I continued working on other projects, and it was very hard to kind of like, when my mindset wasn't all that positive, it was hard to kind of keep pushing absolutely positive content, because I do kind of, well, yes, there is a sort of YouTube persona when it comes to being on camera. Of course there is. I mean, everybody does that. Mine is a bit more, I guess, a bit more extroverted than I usually am, but that just comes with the territory, and it's what we do on YouTube. I mean, it would kind of be very hard to be in front of the camera on YouTube, be some sort of personality that is very monotone and not very vocal about things. So, yeah, I apologize for the lack of updates, but it was just for my own sake of, mental well-being. So there were 4 instruments that I completed that I didn't film anything about. So there was the custom Icarus and data list for the guys in Bloodblind, Joni and Marco. And then there was, the big launch where we launched the production version of Johnny Grimes' signature bass, the Gore Over. So I made a custom bass for him, which is still a hell of a beast. 37-inch scale length, active hardware monstrosity of a bass. And then the production version of that, the first of which went to the remaining stringed instrument player in Bloodblind, Janne. Those were released and should have been something that I should have been, constantly pushing and teasing and, really promoting a whole lot of marketing, which I didn't do because I was still, in that rut of not really posting on social media. And, it is what it is. That was a huge thing for me. And like even bigger yet, I got to make instruments for my bandmates, which is something that I've wanted to do for years and years. And seeing the looks on their faces when they finally got their custom instruments made custom for them with specifications that, feel great for other players, sure, but fit perfectly in their hands because they were tailor-made for them. That was such a great feeling, great moment for me, but I didn't share any of that to you. I put up stories on Instagram, but that's about it. Didn't do anything else, and kind of lackluster. Where it comes to YouTube content is, I made the content that I wanted to make this year. I made a very conscious decision not to go along with the algorithm because I don't like what the algorithm wants you to make. I have no interest in making shorts. I have no interest in making clickbaity titles with snazzy thumbnails, which I should put more effort into, I do realize. But I don't think that would be authentic to what I want to put out there. So instead, what I did was I released the content that I wanted to make this year. I finally got demos of the prototype instruments from 2021. So the first Icarus and Daedalus prototypes. I got demos made, and the Celeste 2.0. I got demos made with the Bloodblind guys and put those out. Now that I had the Celeste demo, I could finally put together the master edit of the Celeste 2.0 build, which ended up being the longest video I've made so far, which is over 2 hours. Not counting live streams, of course, but it's 2 hours of content, and I am super proud of that video. A lot of people, sure, they're not going to watch it, but I loved making it, and I love it because it's the content that I like to watch on YouTube. I love long format stuff, and yeah, it was just a joy to make. And then another one that I really enjoyed was taking that same thing, but removing all the parts where I would talk. So it's just 45 minutes of just guitar building. No talking, no music, just guitar building. And it's just making the Celeste 2.0 without any background music. That was a lot of fun. I finally also put together the build video for building the 4 prototype instruments at the same time. That's also something that has been in the backlog for God knows how long, because it was meant to be a very much more elaborate thing than it ended up being. I realized that my original master plan for that video was a bit too out there, and considering what I do now in comparison to when I started those guitars in 2019, the quality has been pushed up quite a lot. So I wasn't going to be putting that much effort into such old material when I could just create a video out of the terabytes of footage into something a bit more easily digestible. So I did that, and then I did the video that really I was interested in making for a very long time, which unfortunately during editing I realized there were parts that didn't really work, but I tried to make the best of it. So that was the Tonewood experiment guitar. I have 4 guitars built out of the same raw materials with the exact same hardware, slapped together, played the same things over, and see what the tonal differences were. It was just a fun little experiment. It wasn't meant to be like a definitive answer to is Tonewood real, but it made for a very fun video, and I have been looking forward to doing that for a long time, so that was fun to put out. Another highlight was, we got the Vehko 7 demo finally out there. The build video may come, may not come. It was I had the demo for the Vehko 7, so the Sugar Skull inlaid 7-string custom guitar. I had that demo ready since April, but I was waiting for the build video to be finished, and it was never delivered, so I instead moved on to just release the demo because I wanted that out during this year. I do need to have a quick look at what else was created this year. Oh wow, yeah. So of course we started the guitar. Of course we started the year off with finishing up the Great Guitar Build of 2022 video series, which burned me out at the end of 2022, and put that out. But then, how could I forget one of the funnest series of videos that I did this year, where the first 3-part series that I put out this year was taking my very first custom guitar. So it was a guitar that I painted up and, put new hardware in and stuff like that. But essentially the first guitar that I worked on, I got that back, completely gave it a, makeover, and then gifted to my niece. That was the first 4-part video series that I put out. And that was so much fun. It was very, very different to what I've done, and I love doing it. And there's a couple of my very first projects that I do kind of want to go back, revisit, but that still entails me getting in contact with some people to trace those guitars and then see if I can make that work, make that happen. That is something I want to do and realize. We had the demos, we had building the 4 guitars, and then there started, throughout the year, it's been kind of lax with putting up content and whatnot. I did make the decision that I turned the monthly updates into live streams on YouTube, which I loved doing. Celebrated 13 years on YouTube as well, but that stream something happened with the file. I don't know. And then it became progressively harder to try and schedule my time to correspond with getting things streamed on the correct day. I will try and see if I can do that in the future, because I would love to do it, because it gives me a platform where I can actually talk to the community, which honestly, that's why I'm here. I love talking with you guys, and I love, just chatting about this, that, and the other. So whenever I can find an opportunity to do that, I will, because that's something that I really enjoy. Now, in becoming sort of like an annual tradition, I don't know if I'll be able to continue moving onwards, but we shall see. There was, again, end of the year auction for stock instruments and prototypes that I had left, and gathering funds again for ipguitars.fi, so that we can plant more trees for a carbon sync project, or their carbon sync project. So got the Bubinga Icarus, the Riva Daedalus, and the Wrath Baritone. We got those auctioned off, and they did immensely well, and I'm so happy with how that went. I'm very glad to be donating a good amount of money toward planting trees again at the start of the new year. Now, this is the last two videos that I put out was the tele deconstruction and reconstruction, where we take myself, so technically a trained, guitar building professional, and somebody who has no experience in instruments. So I take the guitar apart, and he puts it back together again. So my good friend Ionic Gecko, or Al, he did a tremendous job, and that was some of the content, that was content that I filmed that made me feel incredibly happy. That has been the most fun time creating content in years that I've had, at least to recent memory. It was so much fun, and I know that not many people saw it, not many people watched it, which is a total bummer, but I will maintain that I will keep making the content that I want to make, and move forward with that. Of course, where it comes to creating content that you want to watch, so everybody who's subscribed to my channel, please do let me know in the comments down below, because I want to create content that you want to watch, of course, but there's also content that I want to make. So whenever I can find that overlap, that would be like the ideal scenario. But of course, if there's something you want to see on the channel, I will either point you into the direction of a video that I have made in the past, or I will make a new video about it. Because moving onwards into 2024, I'm not sure that I will be creating more videos where I go through the step-by-step process of how to build a guitar. I've done that so many times at this point that I don't know if there's any new information that I'll be able to give. However, when it comes to anything very specific or something new, I will more than likely make a new video about that. There's a couple of videos already that have been created and are lined up and scheduled for next year, but we'll see when those come out. Now, the first video in January will be the creation of the transition fretboard on the After Hours guitar. So this one right here, my personal project started in 2016, is progressing slowly but surely, but it's progressing in between priority tasks. But how I created the fretboard, that is going to be the next video coming out after this one, coming out in January. So that's going to be fun. Moving onwards, what I really, really want out of the upcoming year is your feedback. I want to know what you want to see on this channel, because I want to create stuff that you want to see. And I do want to live stream, just to what capacity is still a little bit up in the air. There are a good few collaborations coming up next year. There are build slots. So if you're looking for a custom guitar, there's still a few build slots left for next year. Do get in contact. There's an email down below, and you'll find more information in the description as well and on the website. A couple of build slots left. Looking forward to those. There's a few guitars that have been started and will continue. There is, of course, the After Hours when in between tasks. There's the community build 2024. So this is going to be the first build that people on Instagram have picked every single spec for. and I will be making that this year. It is going to be a 7-string dataless in lunar gray. Lunar gray. It has a mahogany body, Carillion birch top, walnut and maple neck, ebony fretboard, Seymour Duncan pickups, Granger and Hipshot hardware, and it's going to be one hell of a beast. I look forward to it. A couple of other special things. There will be an announcement of a new guitar model. Oh, sorry. There we go. Got a little blurry there for some reason. I don't know why. But yeah, so there will be a new model coming out next year, and that is something that has been in the works for a very long time. And in the design and spec has been, adjusted and refined in collaboration with a musician that will, I'll talk about. And you've seen a hint of already on Instagram, but I'll talk about it when time comes. But that is something that is going to be the big thing for 2024. I'm hoping that I will be able to finish enough instruments to attend some shows coming up in the next year. That would be something that would be a very nice big step for the company itself. Overall, toward the end of the year, I started having a far more better outlook toward what the future holds. For a little bit there during the fall, everything kind of spiraled. Just seasonal depression, it's a thing. So I got into the depths of it, and anxiety and depression and everything else kind of piled up to not great things. I'm completely fine. Nothing drastic happened. Just more, I stopped making things. I didn't work on instruments. I didn't work on anything. I didn't post anything. And just fell out of contact with a lot of things. And I apologize for that. But I needed to step back and just kind of fix myself before I start putting out any more content. It just makes it, perfect sense to me. I think I've rambled on for much longer than I expected to. And I thank you very much for watching. I'm hoping to see a much better output for next year, but I can't promise anything because I'm not going to be pushing content out constantly, not every single week. That's just something that I'm not capable of doing to the quality and capacity that I would want to do. It's not in the cards right now, but to the extent that I am able to create content, I will create content, but I want your feedback for what you want to see because that is important to me. We have grown the community quite a lot in the last year by a shocking amount of people, and I am eternally grateful for the continued support of the channel because you make this all worthwhile. You really do. And I can't thank you enough. So I will need to come up with a way to thank you. Maybe we'll hold a contest or something next year. I don't know. We'll see. A lot of cool things in the works. A lot of cool things that have started this year and will continue on, and plus all the new projects. Yeah, I have a feeling it's going to be a good year as long as I don't stress myself out too much. I have a tendency of doing that. So yeah, I need to not do that. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for the last year. And I hope to see you in the new year. Everybody have a good one. Let's celebrate the last few days of this year and get ready to step into the upcoming year. Thank you so much. Stay safe out there and keep those riffs going.